All right, 6:30. Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
All right, I'll just read through the Zoom protocols real quick. Well, actually, if we're the only people on here, I'll save the Zoom protocols for the public hearing, maybe. Is that all right, Julie, or do I have to read them? Okay. All right, so we have our public hearing on 187 West Street at 7, just the awning. And we're going to talk about 186 Summer Ave first. So I'll just give some background. It came up, we talked about 186 Summer Ave for about 10 minutes at the Historical Commission meeting yesterday, and Julie did get some answers back from the town council on some of our questions, and she shared them, or at least some preliminary answers with us. So I'll kick, Julie, do you want to let us know what the town council response was?
Yeah, so we did get some preliminary answers from town council. We haven't really had a chance to circle back with them yet to kind of discuss with them like what they might mean in more detail. But one thing that was pretty clear from the initial email back from them was that because your certificate was issued to Criterion prior to March 10th, 2020, which is the date that the governor put the state of emergency into effect, the deadline for the certificate completion of 2 years has actually been told. So your June 6th deadline is not, you're not up against that in terms of trying to figure out what to do before that date, because that date is actually told. When it ends is a moving target. It really depends on when the governor lifts the state of emergency. And then whenever that happens, it's, I believe 60 days after that is when deadlines that were told that should have expired actually expire, right? A little confusing, but we're dealing with it in many different areas with many different permits in town hall. So that's really all I know at this point. They're still kind of looking through the preservation restriction agreement, their certificate, and the your enabling legislation to kind of figure out like what can be done and to come up with some options for you all to consider about how we might want to proceed.
Virginia?
Could you repeat again how long after the governor lifts the, it expires, how long do we have to act?
So I believe it's 60 days. So once 60. The state of emergency is lifted,
okay.
Permits that were supposed to expire have 60 days until they will expire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amelia.
Julie, do you have any sense of how soon we might get more complete information?
Yeah, so I think that like I was talking to town council today and we're trying to like figure out when we might be able to set up a meeting to talk about it. We're all coming out of town meeting, and so availability will be better probably like next week. I think we can talk about it more with them like pretty soon. They do know that it's a matter of importance to many different boards and commissions, you know, and so I do think that can happen soon. And I think there are a number of ways that we could approach it, depending on, you know, it would be good to maybe, I don't know what your plan is for your discussion tonight, but I think it would be helpful to me when I talk to town council if I have a sense of like more about what it is you're thinking you'd like to try to do. Because I think there are a few different avenues we can take. We could, you know, so I don't want to like lead the witness or whatever, but I'll listen to your discussion and kind of see what I think you might want to, what you're considering.
All right, I also wanted to mention that we also had a select board member who I believe is the chair, right, Ms. Herrick?
Yes.
She attended the meeting yesterday and she spoke a little about her interest and concern about the property. And she did mention that there's a select board meeting on the 18th of May and the possibility of us reaching out to our liaison about potentially addressing it at the select board meeting. Okay, yeah, I mean, basically open discussion. I mean, we have Amelia's letter. I think we wanted to maybe chew on some of the legal inputs. It looks like we don't have to worry about the June 6th deadline for now. So really, I'll just open up for any commentary, you know, from sending the letter, waiting till we get more from legal back, thoughts on, you know, trying to, I think obviously we would need some of the answers first, because I think our biggest cudgel is pursuing some sort of action or something on pursuant to the restriction agreement. But, you know, that's kind of a big movement, but open it up to anyone. Virginia.
I went through some of the materials today. The stack is very high and I didn't go through it all, but it appears to my reading that it's up to the applicant to reapply for an extension. It's not, I don't see anything written that says we can just automatically do it. So I think that's something we need to explore and understand.
Anyone else? Amelia, go ahead.
Just the observation that as the letter stands, it's not appropriate to send now because the major point was about this drop dead date. So if we want to send a letter, we are going to need to rework it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So, the big question, I mean, you know, $64,000 question, I think from that I want to know is, what can we do under the agreement that was signed? And the next question is there an appetite within the town to do that, and who has to approve that? I'm assuming it's the select board.
I'm not sure.
So are you interested in potentially like, I don't know if I have the terminology correct, but filing an injunction or something and having like a court proceeding? Are you
Well,
like,
I mean, the letter writing campaign has been going on for 5 years and it doesn't do anything. So that's, I mean, they're clearly in violation of this agreement. So yes, but again, that's not my decision. But if I was in charge, I would do that with unlimited funds. I know that, you know, that costs a lot of money. There's many competing priorities in the town and everything. But I mean, looking at it in a vacuum, that's the only path forward I see of having any sort of resolution to this, because we've written letters, they're just not doing anything. So they're in violation of this agreement. They signed it. So there's a mechanism to do something pursuant to that agreement. And injunction's one of them. You know, I mean, there's a couple different paths in that agreement. So, I mean, we signed it for a reason and they're not following it. So I don't think writing another letter is going to do anything. Even though we still should do that though, but yeah, Virginia.
So I need to think about the impact, and they will use the excuse that we can't enforce any of our material now until after the pandemic is over. So are we better off by just remaining quiet, or point that out to them that we will expect to hear from them after the 60-day expires? Or I don't know how to play this game.
I could clarify really quick because I didn't say this before, but the deadline that's told is only related to your certificate. The preservation restriction agreement is not impacted by the state of emergency, so it's still in full force and effect right now.
Oh, which is still in effect.
Preservation agreement, she said.
Preservation restriction agreement, yeah,
Yeah,
that is still fully effectual right now.
right, right.
Any other thought, Amelia?
So if we were going to explore this avenue, I think I would also like to know what is our burden of proof, so to speak? What would we need to muster in order to demonstrate our belief that they're not upholding the agreement? And I remember last time, I think there are pictures attached to the preservation restriction agreement. So at a minimum, I think we're going to have to track those down. But it would be helpful for me to hear from the lawyers who has to do the heavy lifting, and if it's us, what that would look like.
I mean, I think they would do it, but again, that it's once you opening that door could, you could open a years long process that could cost a lot of money. So that's why, I mean, but starting that process could get results, just starting it, more than a letter. But again, we kind of have no power to make that decision. I mean, we could ask for it, but I mean, I think once you, let's say the town said, all right, let's go for the injunction. I think the lawyers would do the bulk of the work. I mean, we could find pictures and stuff, but
Can I ask really
like we're drafting documents for them.
why do you feel that you don't have the power, or that you and the HDC and Historical Commission don't have the power to make the decision? Like, why do you feel like that?
Oh, no, maybe maybe that was a bad choice of words. Well, I'm talking specifically on the decision to tell town council to take some sort of action. Like, I can't just do that. We can't just vote and do that, can we? I don't know what the process is for that.
Well, and we also can't contact them directly, which to my mind means we are not completely in control of how they get utilized for our purposes.
I'd like somehow to let them know that we haven't let this go away, that we're still on it, and that we want them held to the agreement which they made a long time ago.
Isn't that
Yeah, absolutely. Carl?
isn't that what we'd be doing with writing a letter? To let them know we're still holding on?
Yes, but to an extent. I mean, we're probably going to end up sending them one or several letters,
Right.
but the question is, we've been sending letters for several years now,
Right.
and nothing has changed. So at what point do you go from your letter writing campaign to actually enforcing this agreement?
Right.
How enforceable is this agreement now? I mean, that the time has elapsed. The conditions of restoration are so much more serious than they were before. I don't know whether the fact that it's deteriorated so badly precludes what the agreement was based on.
I don't think so, because in I mean, I don't have it in front of me. It's a very long document, but I remember when we were looking at it last month, it says that they have to maintain the premises to basically what the pictures at the time look like, which they're not doing. There's some other stuff in there.
Hmm.
Virginia?
I think the issue at hand is really the expiration of the certificate of appropriateness. And I don't know how to address that. If it is expiring, but we have to wait for it to expire till after the governor acts, we should probably get our ducks in a row now. But that's essentially the issue, is that the certificate of appropriateness is about to expire. And I think that's what we should be focusing on.
I would agree with that.
That's not a very immediate cudgel, though. I think we want to bring some pressure to bear that has relevance now. And maybe that is the preservation restriction agreement, because otherwise the letter is going to say, hey, you guys, you know, your thing was about to expire, but it's not. And we don't know when it's gonna. They're not going to pay attention to that. That's not going to be motivating, I don't think.
How would you zoom in on the on holding their feet to the fire? What would be your best procedure?
Build a
Are you
big
asking-
fire.
Well,
Yeah,
part of the fire will be the letter that the RHC is sending, which says, hey, what's the deal with your bids? Come talk to us and tell us what's going to be going on in the near future.
and assuming that gets no answer. Or perhaps
I don't know, Julie. Sorry. Julie, if we wanted to send in the dogs, how do we do that? And do we have to get select board on our side there, or are we authorized to do that?
So, you know, one approach you could take would be to actually have that letter be like a joint letter coming from both commissions, which maybe would strengthen it. And then you could also mention that you're aware of certain clauses in the preservation restriction agreement that give you certain rights. So it's like a way of, it's like a veiled threat, I guess. You know, you can like, versus like just, that could be like an interim approach to see if you can bring them to the table to talk to you before you have to take like a more extreme measure. These are the kind of things that, you know, if you had a draft letter, that's something that I could try to run through town council to help with. I'm not sure the extent to which like the select board would need to get involved in something like that, but town council could advise on that. But I do think having a letter that comes from both commissions about what you understand as your rights under your certificate and under your preservation restriction would be one way you could start for sure.
The one question I would want to know is, I mean, do we have to run, like, can we just fire letters out threatening litigation? Or does someone in the town have to bless that? Because just sending a letter out like that saying, if you don't do this, we're going to sue you, that in itself can, you know, trigger some sort of backlash and legal action on their end. So
right. So that's why I would suggest running it through our legal counsel first. And they could help like finesse it and provide language that might be like more, you know, because we would want to make sure that any action you were going to take would be legally defensible. And that at least our town council was aware of it, as well as our town manager and potentially also the select board. So, you know, I think that given the fact that we've recently looped them in and recently looped in the town council, and they are aware of that you have these questions and that you have certain rights under your preservation restriction agreement. I don't think it would be a surprise. I think they'd be willing to help if you wanted to draft and send a letter as kind of a first step. And you know, it wouldn't be as blunt as saying, like, if you don't meet with us, we're going to sue you. Like, but I mean, that might be like kind of what's like underneath the surface. Like, it would be a little more, maybe a little more polished and a little more legally defensible. And than that, right? That's what they could help us with.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, I'm sorry, can I
no,
go
go
ahead?
ahead.
I'm wondering if a completely different approach in the sense of the abutters having to deal with a deteriorating property next door and across the street and behind and so on. If the abutters applied for an abatement on their taxes based on the condition of the property that we're referencing, if that wouldn't make some kind of a difference to have town hall look at it. I mean, that's certainly a factor. These people are facing declining property valuations, and why should they be paying their full tax rate if they're looking at something across the street or next door or behind them? That could be another approach.
I can't speak to the taxes piece of things really, but you know, there is another approach where like the building commissioner could seek approval to go in and inspect the property and kind of get a sense for what the building looks like inside. You know, and that's something that I don't know if that's been done in a while. I'd have to, I haven't checked, like maybe they were there last year or last month and I just don't know. But, you know, if they haven't been out for a while, that's something that they could ask for permission from the property owner to go and kind of inspect the interior and get a sense of what things look like inside.
But we don't have any control over anything that's inside.
Well, right. I mean, he would inspect the property in general. I'm a little curious about what the inside looks like. So maybe that's why I was thinking about that.
Oh, Amelia.
Julie, can you tell us anything about what the appetite of town hall is to get this going? I may be wrong, but it just didn't seem like when we tried other things in the past that anybody had a fire in their belly about it.
So what do you mean by the other things that you tried?
For example, I think, well, Everett could speak to this better, but talk to the building inspector, who didn't seem like he wanted to go out and intervene. Everett, can you correct me here?
You're on mute.
You're muted, Everett. Everett, you're still muted.
Everett, you're muted.
Are we there? Are we all right now?
Yeah.
There was a guy who came on for a short period of time. Mark, I think his name was. I'm not
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
And he actually wrote a letter about the fence and because it had been blown off and things like that. He seemed to take a hold in it where I can't really feel as comfortable with Mr. Redfern, I guess is that his name, ever really getting on board with the historical concepts. I think he's just too busy with everything that was around. We did get a young man by the name of Russell who came in and spoke to us from working with the town council. But again, there was no concrete ideas that seemed to come out. And that's the best that we had. We did set up a meeting and we went through the building at one particular point. My recollections, the most we've ever got was, well, we've had trouble getting contractors. We've had to switch contractors again. You know, it's a nice excuse, but it's a sad story that I don't believe it anymore. I believe it, that's happening, but the net result is it's the story of crying wolf. Too many times the same story.
Virginia.
I think if we really organize a plan, I know we're just kind of bouncing off the walls now, and present it to the select board, whatever we need to do, I think we will have the support. If we can make our case to them prior to going to Criterion.
Okay. I think the way forward is we have to, well, with council's help, is you have to list what we think they're violating in this agreement.
Mhm.
And then we could present that and say, hey, we're planning on sending a letter out pointing out that we think they're in violation of this agreement, and please remedy it. And then take it from there. I mean, I think that's what Julie was kind of talking about, was we're not going to send a letter out that says, see you in court. We're going to point out, hey, here's this agreement you signed. Here's the 4 or 5 places where you're not violating it, or where you're not abiding by it. Please, remedy, what you're doing and fix it to abide by the agreement. And then, they'll probably just come back with the same excuses and, Everett?
I still have this question in my mind. It's a state law for the Dover Amendment, that there has to be something in there that says that they've not complied with the Dover Amendment. They make the move on this and they've done nothing. And that to me seems like it should be a violation, and that they've not met their obligation to do what the state law gave them permission to do. To me, it should be more than everything that we wrote out on paper. We're not the experienced people here, at least as I'm not anyway. I would wonder if town council could go to the state level and ask questions, some sort of pressure that says, what are they not doing right here? So they're not doing anything. Sorry.
I can certainly add that to the list of things that town council is looking into, Everett.
Good.
You can have some definitive
And
idea.
even if it doesn't help us, the state should look at it down the road, might help somebody else.
Mhm.
If I'm going to be a victim, I want to at least leave the cause in good faith.
Are they currently getting state money apportioned in different ways? Perhaps directed towards the property on Summer Ave? I mean, if they've taken out a state loan or a small business or something like that, and the money is coming from the state and there's no action attached to that money. I don't know, just a
Yeah,
thought.
I don't know. My rudimentary memory of the Dover Amendment from when we've been discussing it was they could act in a tax exempt capacity and not pay property taxes, but they are paying property taxes. Again, I'm sure there's a lot more in that amendment or law than taxes. I don't know, but I think that's one of the questions. Well, yeah, I mean, I think if we add that question and the information we're still waiting for them on, that we gave them the preservation agreement, I think those are the two big questions we want answered, or at least some sort of legal analysis. Virginia?
I'm going to suggest that if Pino and Amelia would collaborate and write a letter that could be put forth before the town council, we'd appreciate that very much.
Are we looking for that deadline? No.
No, not the June 6th deadline anymore.
No.
Well, yeah, but like Amelia said, the letter now changes because I think the letter should pivot toward focusing on the agreement, and if there's any Dover Amendment path, and saying you're
Good.
violating it, and lay it out.
Maybe we should bracket this until after our
Yep.
hearing, because
All right, so we're gonna transition to the hearing. I don't see the applicant here yet. So, all right, let's just go over some
And
housekeeping.
not unless he's affiliated with Karen, who just joined us.
Karen Callahan.
Karen Callan. I don't know if she's related to Tom.
I'm a neighbor
Oh, okay.
next door, not related.
Hello, Everett.
Hello.
All right, so we have Virginia, you're an associate, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have me, Amelia, Eileen, Greg, and Everett as voting members today, right? Okay. All right, so I'm just gonna go over the Zoom protocols real quick, and then Virginia, do you want me to, I'll start the we've been emailing each other back and forth because we didn't have a template for a public hearing, but I'll sort of do the outline. Then Virginia, did you want to jump in at all, or else I think I'm prepared to do it unless you were planning on it.
If I see you falling over a cliff,
Okay.
I'll jump in, okay?
All right. All right, so I'm just gonna go over the Zoom protocols real quick, and then I'll call the meeting, the public hearing to order. Okay, so just a couple of Zoom protocols. Again, everyone welcome. This meeting is being held remotely via Zoom. If you know anyone who's trying to get in, the Zoom link and call-in number are in the agenda. The meeting is being recorded by RCTV. It's also possibly being live streamed or broadcast on TV. People will be entered into a waiting room and then admitted by the host. I ask that all people mute themselves unless you're acknowledged to speak by the chair or the host. Applicants can unmute themselves at the time of your presentation. Also ask that you don't use the chat feature except for technical issues, as this could be a violation of the open meeting law. And you could also use the chat feature if your audio is not functioning properly. I also ask that you raise your hand either visually or use the raise hand feature before speaking, and the host or chair will call on you. And then all votes will be conducted via roll call by the chair. All right, so I see Mr. Prendergast is here. So I will, so this is a public hearing for a certificate of appropriateness for an awning on 187 West Street. So I'm gonna call the meeting to order. I'll just give a brief outline of the public hearing structure. So call of order, I'm gonna read the public notice. I'm gonna give a brief summary of the purpose and procedures of the Historic District Commission. Then we'll introduce the commission members and the owner of the property. The owner will give a brief, Mr. Prendergast will give a brief presentation. Then we'll give a overview of the structure's historical and architectural significance. Virginia, if you have that handy, because I'd have to dig in my emails. If you have that handy, I'll call on. Then we'll open it up for public input. We ask that you state your name and address if you're going to be speaking, if you're a member of the public. Then I'll open it up for commission member questions or comments. And then we'll have a closing discussion between the commission and the owner, and then a vote to close or continue the public hearing. Okay, so I will read the legal notice that was published. So this is to serve notice that the Historic District Commission, under the authority and requirements of the town of Reading, General Bylaw Section 7.3, Local Historic District, shall hold a public hearing on the application for certificate of appropriateness at 187 West Street, submitted by Mr. Thomas Prendergast. Under the requirements of Section 7.3.7.4, the Historic District Commission determined that such application involves installing an awning subject to review under the bylaw. The public hearing will be held on Thursday, May 13th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via Zoom, which is now. Okay, so I will give a brief summary of the Historic District Commission. So I'm reading off a script for another commission, so I'm gonna butcher it the first time, but I'll use it as a template going forward. All right, so welcome to the public hearing. My name is Pino D'Orazio. I'm the chair of the Historic District Commission. And Pursuant to General Bylaw 7.3, the purpose of the Historic District Commission is to promote economic, educational, cultural, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the town of Reading through the preservation and protection of the distinctive characteristics and architecture of buildings and places significant in the history of the town of Reading. We do this by maintaining and improving of the settings of these buildings and places and the encouragement of building designs compatible with the buildings existing in the area, so as to maintain the historic character of residences or commercial enterprises which distinguish the town as a desirable community. And pursuant to the bylaw, if the commission determines that an application involves any exterior architectural features subject to review under the bylaw, we shall hold a public hearing on the application. And that's what we're doing right now. So I will introduce did I skip over anything so far? Anyone? Okay. So I will introduce the members of the commission. So again, my name is Pino D'Orazio, the chair, and I will over to the other members, Amelia.
Hi, I'm Amelia Devon Friedman, and I'm the vice chair.
All right, and Eileen?
Eileen Bornstein, member of the commission.
And Everett?
Everett Blodgett, member of the commission.
All right, Greg?
Greg Maganzini, also a member of the commission.
And Carl? Oh, Carl, you're on mute.
Carl Midnight, I'm an associate member.
And Virginia?
Virginia Adams, an associate member.
All right, and then over to the members of the public. So Karen, over to you.
Karen Callan and Bob
And Bob
Callan,
Callan.
179 West Street, a neighbor of Tom's.
All right, and then Tom.
Hello, Tom Prendergast, 187 West Street.
All right, so thank you everyone for attending. So I will so now it's we're going to do a brief presentation of what you're about the awning, and then I'm hoping Virginia, if you give a thumbs up, we'll give a no. Do you have it? Do you have anything about the property?
No, I only have a photograph that the owner submitted, but I can show that.
That's fine. Okay. All right. So over to Tom for a brief presentation on your project.
Yes, so we are looking to install an awning that is partially visible from the street, not directly from in front of our house, but actually if you're more in front of the Callan's house, you can see it from the sidewalk. It will be perpendicular to the street, and it's going to be 18 feet wide, and it will extend out 11.5 feet when it's fully extended from the house. It'll be motorized, so you know, it'll only be actually extended when we're out there using it. We haven't necessarily decided definitively on the colors, but it'll probably be like a green and white stripe or a solid green or something like that. Something that with the trim on the house. Am I missing any details here, Pino?
No, I just point out that we don't consider the color in our consideration.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was part of the application, so I thought it was worth mentioning. But
yeah, but I think technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, we do not we don't have any say over the color.
okay. So
Okay.
yeah, unless I missed anything, that's the extent of it.
Amelia, go ahead.
Tom, maybe you could just describe for your neighbors where exactly on your house it's going to be placed.
Sure. Sorry, I thought Virginia was going to share the photo. Okay, so you can You can kind of see it in Virginia's, but it's basically on the side of the house facing the driveway. It actually faces the Callan's house, who are also on the call.
Would you like me to share a street view?
Yeah, I'm looking for the application for some reason. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, so from that view, the awning would be right around where the cursor is. So right above the double doors there that, no, you can't really see them now that we moved. Yeah, that's probably the best view you're gonna get. So right where her cursor is, where the little hand is where it will be.
And Tom, can you just can you tell us the age of your house?
Yes, it's 101 years old.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anything else from you, Tom?
No, we're not talking about the TV today, correct?
Right, correct, just the awning.
Okay.
Okay. Again, oh, Virginia, go ahead.
Has the application been modified to show that we are only discussing the awning?
Well, well, he hasn't submitted a new application, but the motion that was approved to get to the public hearing was specifically for the awning only, and the notice, the legal notice, was only for the awning. So
Fine,
it's clear that it's only for the awning in my eyes.
fine.
Okay. So again, I don't have the specifics of the history of the structure, but you know, as everyone here knows, you know, this is in the historic district. It's visible from the street. It's surrounded by other houses in the district, and the awning will be visible from West Street. So if nobody has any, we will have a question and answer comment coming up, but if nobody has any comments right now from the commission, I'll open it up for public input, so anyone from the public can ask questions or make commentary. So I guess that's the Callan family. Do you have any specific comments, questions, observations?
Yeah. Yes, this is Bob Callan. We're neighbors. We're not offended by the idea of the awning, and especially where it's rolled up most of the time. What's important about an awning, we have one on our motorhome, is that if you leave it open, there's a very good chance the next wind will blow it off the house. So like us with our camping, we know that it spends more time rolled up, except of course when they want to use it. We just wanted to let everyone know we weren't offended by it, and that we thought most of the time it would be rolled up, and so that you wouldn't notice it against the house. That's all we were trying to do on being here. That's all. Appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Great, thank you very much. And we always appreciate any members of the public coming to these hearings, so thank you. Okay, so now I'll open it up to questions or comments from commission members. Julie, can you go back to the full screen, please? Thank you. Okay, questions, comments from commission members. Greg.
Hi, yeah. So since the last time this was presented, the original application, I've been, I live across the street. So every time I drive by, I've been looking over at the spot. And most of the time it's hard to even look back to see back there. You really got to look in there. So I have no problem with the awning, and I thought we were talking about the TV tonight. I feel bad that Tom has to come back again or even do another town hearing for it. I wish we could have wrapped it all up tonight. But yeah, I have no problem with the awning. And just to say something about the TV, I probably would have no problem with the TV either, because again, it's pretty hard to see back there. That's my 2 cents on this.
All right, thanks, Greg. Anyone else? Amelia?
Just that we voted against the TV. So there's nothing to discuss there.
Fair enough. Everett?
I just think Tom might want to talk to his contractor again. I don't feel great about all contractors. They're out to sell a product. I do have a problem with the water drainage, and I don't think it's really our problem as much as it's going to be your problem. There's a drain pipe. I don't know how much drainage goes down that comes in right at the center of it. They're going to have to divert it probably 5-6 feet around horizontally and then bring it down someplace else. Our lovely New England weather is going to play games with that turn, and I think that's going to present a problem for you. Historically, awnings were on houses. There's no question about that, but they usually covered a window or a set of windows along the side. So if you had 3 windows, you might have 3 awnings on the south side. This is the south side. I think this is more of an awning by its width. It would have been on a business. And they were very common just before the turn of the century. That's the 19th century, if I got that right, 1900s. I don't totally like it, but I'm not necessarily against it.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, Amelia, can I ask you a procedural question from, I don't know if you have the minutes from last time. So we voted, did we vote? So just from a procedural standpoint, I know we have to vote to close this meeting. Is that all we have to do? Because we already voted on the certificate. Or did we vote? Did we vote straight up or down yes on the certificate, or did we vote to have a meeting, a public hearing on the certificate?
I'm not sure, but it looks like Julie is frantically trying to get the minutes up for us to look at.
Sorry, I had a little distraction from my 3-year-old. What was the question?
We want to check what the motion that we voted on was. Please.
Sure, yeah. Hold on 1 second. I'll get them for you.
I think regardless, oh, Virginia, go ahead.
Well, were the minutes ever sent out for this, for the last meeting?
No, we haven't approved them yet, I don't think.
Okay.
I mean, we could just do, I think we're just going to do both here anyway. Okay, so does anyone have a motion to close the meeting? All right, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
The public hearing.
Public hearing, I'm
Public
sorry, not the meeting. So I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for the awning at 187 West Street. Any seconds? No seconds, okay.
No, Greg.
Greg, did you second? Sorry, I couldn't see him. Okay, second by Greg. So let's vote Amelia.
To close the hearing, yes.
Okay. Greg? Yes. Everett?
Yes, to close the hearing.
Yes to close the hearing. Eileen, to
Public
close the hearing.
Yes,
The public
close the hearing.
All right, and I vote yes too. So approved 5-0 to close the public hearing. Okay, so. Okay, so we voted to have a public hearing. Okay. All right, so any comments from the commission members? Or I believe we have all the information, at least I have all the information I need to vote on the awning. Does anyone see any reason why we cannot vote on the awning right now? All right, so I move to vote for a certificate of appropriateness for the awning at 187 West Street. Any seconds? All right, seconded by Greg. Okay, so this is a vote for certificate of appropriateness for the awning at 187 West Street. I'll do the roll call. So Amelia.
Yes.
Greg? Yes. Everett?
Yes.
Okay, and Eileen?
Yes.
And Pino, yes. So certificate of appropriateness approved, 5-0 for the awning at 187 West Street. So again, thank you, Tom, for your participation throughout this process, and thank you for the your neighbors for showing up. Procedurally, Amelia, go ahead.
For the certificate, there's a place for, specifics. So is there anything that we need to deal with there? It says the first thing we fill in is what's the application for to install an awning. And then it's the conditions or something, Everett? What's that next entry? Let me look.
Should we put the dimensions that were in the application? Tom, any change to the dimensions that you included in the application?
I don't believe so. No, it should be 18 feet wide by 11.5 feet extended.
Okay.
I guess I would recommend or less, just in case he gets into some sort of a bind on the ends, no bigger than 18 feet in width. In case you wanted part of the deck covered and you decided that for some reason, if you say it's 18 feet, it's got to be 18 feet. I think it could easily say less than 18 feet, 18 feet or less.
Mhm.
That would be.
So the entry on the condition, on the certificate is conditions, requirements, recommendations.
Yeah, I don't know if the town building inspector will have any issues here. I don't know. So I wouldn't know what to recommend.
So my understanding of that is that we specify what it is we agreed to there. So right now on my draft, I have the awning will be mounted on the southern face of the house above a set of patio doors at a height of approximately 8 to 11 feet.
No greater than 18 feet in
And
length.
then maybe the no greater than 18 feet long. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah, so typically the building commissioner will require a building permit application, and then also with things that project, there's typically a requirement that they be no less than 8 feet above the surface where people are walking. So it sounds like this would comply with that.
All right, Tom, you had your hand up?
Yeah, sorry, just a procedural question. I think, if I remember correctly, someone had mentioned on one of the previous calls that once we got to this point, I believe I need the certificate to give to the building inspector for the permit. Is that correct? So should I expect to receive that building or the certificate from Julie over email or something?
No, I will write it and give it to Amanda, and then she will process it. But
Okay.
Town hall.
this won't be until Monday at the earliest because town hall Hall is closed tomorrow.
Okay, and does that come in like physical snail mail or is it an email form?
I think it's an email.
Email.
Okay,
Yeah, it's an email, and then if you need us to print a hard copy, we can do that for you, Tom.
okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure I don't miss it.
And yeah, it will come from Amanda Beatrice from
Okay.
Reading Town Hall. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tom. Thanks, everyone. All right, so I guess we can go beyond 7:25 now.
If
I told my
you
wife
guys
to
don't need me
finish by
anymore,
8. Not believe me. We're finishing by 8.
right? Pino, you guys don't need me anymore, correct?
No.
Okay.
Thank you,
Um,
Tom.
All right, so let's go back to our 186 discussion. So Amelia, you gonna say something?
Just that might it be a good idea for us to decide what the assignments are and who's going to do what. So Virginia already asked that you and I work on a letter. I'm wondering if we can give Julie the assignment of figuring out how we get a hold of the pictures that were attached to the preservation restriction agreement.
I
Well-
may have the plan somewhere, but the point is I cannot transmit anything electronically. I am very challenged.
The plans or the photographs?
I'm not sure. I have a whole bunch of stuff that's all, I don't know. I do have the plans, I know that. But I'm
Well,
not sure
I
about
can-
the photographs.
Anybody who has the photographs, I can come and pick them up. That's not a problem, but we need to locate them.
All right, I'll have to see if I have them.
So I can check, so this is recorded at the Registry of Deeds. I could check on the Registry of Deeds website and see if there's color pictures when they scan them in. Because the problem is we just have black and white scans of the pictures now, right?
Right.
I'll do that tomorrow. So I mean, maybe they're clear enough where we don't have to dig around for the pictures. Virginia?
I don't even recall having pictures submitted with the preservation restriction.
I think that's
Attachments,
accurate.
there's a bunch of pictures at the end. It's one of the attachments.
Oh,
It is.
Yeah.
Mm.
I found a Xerox copy of them, but it's not clear at all.
Yeah.
And once we have those pictures, it seems to me, someone who saw the building when the pictures were taken could go with them to look at the site to see if there has been deterioration, because presumably there has. I can go with if you want, and then we make a list, and that goes to town council, I should think.
We can also ask the historical commission if anyone kept the original, the document with the original signatures. Because I don't think I don't know. I don't know if the registry actually takes physical custody of the documents or just scans them in and then gives them back. Virginia?
Are these photographs provided by Criterion, or were they something that somebody in Reading produced?
I don't know. They're all attached to it's the current state of it was a snapshot of the state of the building at the time, and then it was an attachment to the preservation agreement. And then I think it ties back to that one paragraph that says they have to maintain the exterior as it looked in that point in time, and then there's just a bunch of pictures attached. But it's part of the package. It should be intact somewhere.
Julie, could you pull the PRA up and to see maybe there's some reference to who took the pictures or?
Yeah,
you have a couple minutes. I can go and check to see if I have them.
For the sake of reference, I had just found a set of color pictures, but they're Xerox color pictures. They're not original. So I do have a set. I did my homework. I went through the trunks, the plastic boxes, and then I had found the notebook for the preservation unit. And so I do have, well, It's on. Those are color.
I would imagine, though, that the PRA refers to particular pictures. And unless those are them, that doesn't help us, right?
Well, I would think that these are them.
Oh, okay.
I'm not, but I'm not positive. I was also going to point out that there are probably only a half a dozen features at the most that you could look at on the building and say, that should have been done to help preserve the building. For example, the shingles on the roof facing the west side, that architectural feature that sticks out toward the south. The little buttresses that go up. Oh, Ginny, I need your vocabulary badly right now. The Italianate pieces that are off were on the ground and then maybe picked up. I did photograph those this spring. And maybe something on the backside where they had put plywood up on the building. And at a time I had an argument about them doing that and saying that they weren't structurally affecting the building. That would have been on the barn. Because it looked to me like the stairs came down past where they had to be, and so they had to reopen a section or close off a section behind the stairs. I can't remember. I'll have to do a brain dig to figure that out. I also had a little bit of a question, possibly when we're looking at this deadline that they had of June something. What do we have to do in response if they reapply or don't apply, or what can we do in either case? I think that's a question we have to have answered. What do we have to do, or what can we do if they reapply for another certificate? Because I think it's the 2-year deadline that's up at that particular point. And that's when our certificate expires.
Correct.
So therefore, if they reapply and they have a contractor, or they don't have a contractor, what are our obligations? Perfectly fully aware that if we do not do something, the building is going to continue to deteriorate.
Yeah, Amelia.
So what I sent to Julie after our last meeting was about, I asked about the preservation restriction agreement that said that we think that they may be in violation. And then also about the, sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. Let me find the questions that I sent Julie. And
Yeah, I'm pulling them up.
oh, you got them?
Oh, Julie, would you send me? Are these the
Yeah,
pictures?
so that I can't open the conservation restriction agreement that you sent me for some reason.
Oh, never mind.
Corrupt file.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
It's not opening them either.
So I don't know if you want to screen share it yourself to show people the photos.
Were they black and white?
I think they are in that document.
Yeah, I think we saw them last. Yeah.
Yeah, you showed them last time, I think.
Well, the question was, what are they pictures of? What views? What features? And also, if there's any reference to who took them, because we're gonna need color photos, I think.
Okay, you want me to read the questions that you asked, Amelia?
Sure, because I think some of them were the ones that Everett just said.
Hold on, let me see if you submitted any. Okay, so you asked Julie 3 questions. Number one, The certificate of appropriateness that the HDC issued was for the project required that, quote, all work authorized by this certificate shall be substantially completed within 2 years of the first issuance of a building permit for any portion thereof, unquote. The building inspector issued a building permit on June 6, 2019. Based on the current conditions of the site, however, it does not appear that sufficient work will have taken place by June 6, 2021 for the project to be characterized as substantially completed. What are our options if criteria misses the deadline? Does the pandemic mean the deadline has been extended in any way? That was the first question. Second question, their certificate of appropriateness says the HDC can extend the 2-year period at the request of the applicant for good cause shown. What happens if Criterion does not request an extension, or if we decide not to grant a requested extension? If we want to grant the extension, would we need to extend it in 2-year increments, or would other time periods be permissible? Third question, there is deterioration of the house that is visible from the street. For example, the front porch roof is sagging and has been braced with a piece of wood since at least October of 2020. If Criterion is in violation of the Preservation Restrictions Agreement, the Preservation Restriction Agreement's Maintenance of Premises Clause on page 2, what are our options to enforce the Preservation Restriction Agreement? And I think the fourth question is, Dover Amendment, can we do anything from that? That was Everett's question that he keeps asking. So I think that captures everything that we've been talking about.
Just as a piece of information, my photographs here are dated 2/3/2015. I can't find my signed copy of the preservation certificate, but if these were done with the application of the building project, which it appears that they might have been done at that time, these photographs, I still think that they would cover the condition of the building. But I'm not sure about that.
Oh yeah, mine isn't opening either. It's on the website though, isn't it? Let me go look on the website what the date is.
I have a question.
Yep.
A few years back in the winter time, some of us went out and sort of tromped through the outside of the property. And I believe I took some pictures. I don't know if anyone else did, and I'm wondering if those would be applicable. Do you remember that, Everett, when we walked
do.
outside? Yeah.
I do, and I probably took pictures.
I'm pretty sure I can find mine.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can too, but actuality becomes a real thing for me. Yeah.
But would those be evidential?
I don't know if they'd be the final straw, but all pieces count.
Okay, okay.
I have a signed, not a signed, but a stamped copy of the decision for a certificate of hardship, which was, but then it was later withdrawn, come to think of it, which was April 9th, 2015. So I guess that doesn't really help us much.
What is the date on the Preservation Restriction Agreement?
I don't know.
It was in November. Because I was not there. And I'm pretty sure it was in November.
Right.
Yeah, my PDF doesn't open either. I was able to open it on when I sent it.
I'm gonna go down to the garage if you're still here when I come back.
But anyway, all right, so I think we need the Preservation Restriction Agreement analysis from the lawyers, and then we can craft the letter pointing out where they're not in compliance with it. And then if need be, run it by the select board before sending the letter, or just send it. We can decide at our next meeting.
Yeah, I can run it, we'll run it by town council. And then town council can advise like the best course of action for getting the select board involved if they think that's a good idea.
Right.
The preservation restriction agreement, I have like a version of it that's signed before it was recorded. It looks like it was finalized in November of 2017.
Okay.
So maybe it was recorded in late 2017 or early 2018, something like that.
Good.
All right, anyone have any heartburn with that? I can't find it on the registry of deed site, but this is 186-190, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked 186, certificate of municipal lien. Just, oh, restrictions. Here it is. It was recorded on October 26, 2017. And it's 86 pages long. Let's go to the end. And the pictures, I'm gonna look for the pictures.
Okay, UPS is here. Yeah, no. That's West. Okay, 180.
Attached to that one, Pino?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm scrolling through the pages, but it's slow. Oh, okay, on the registry, they're black and white. So.
Are they 4 to a page? Like whatever it has,
2 to a page.
2 to a page.
Is there any indication of where they came from? Are they like Exhibit A, which might indicate they were provided by the applicant's attorney or something like that?
These color ones are 2 to a page, except this is legal size paper. And so you get 4 on legal.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
I have something, August 10th, 2015, Xerox color pictures.
So I wonder if those that are at the registry have these same pictures.
It says baseline photographs of the property, Exhibit D, but it doesn't, view from the east, it doesn't say, oh, existing condition photographs, May 2017. So they were taken May
I have
2017.
August of 2015.
I have,
Very nice pictures. What a great building.
mine are February of 15.
Okay, so what's in, so we'll ask, maybe someone on the historical commission remembers who took the pictures. We can ask that.
Can you tell me, these are marked A901 series, and then the second page is A902, well, the third and fourth page. Then the 5 and 6 page are A903. So I'm wondering if they're the same pictures.
Oh, I have so many. So very many. And this one, black and white, yeah, August of 2015. So black and white's huge, but it's the same thing, same date.
Pino, on the website that you're on with the black and white pictures at the registry of deeds or whatever it is, the first picture, which is the West house elevation, there's a car in the driveway and there's a man taking a photograph for it, man standing there.
Oh, yeah, I have that.
Hold on.
Is that you, Everett?
No,
I have to
Oh,
go back.
yeah. You know, that's kind of funny. Those are the azaleas and the rhododendrons. Why would that be in August?
mine are in February, so it's the same photographs probably. They just that when they were printed out.
My
I-
first, so there's 13 pictures. The first one says number 1, view of east elevation of house. Number 2 says view of east and south elevations of house, east elevations of garage and driveway. You want me to just pull it up on this computer and share them?
If you can.
I suspect that these photographs were provided by the applicant.
Well, these are attached to an architect
Yes, yes.
submission. Now, he had 2 architects. I think this was the more recent DHK architects. Because Sullivan, I think, was the prior one.
Yeah.
No, Sullivan was the ground and the driveway and the drainage and things like that. Mark
Oh.
Maxwell was the first architect. He actually made like a toy mock-up of the building,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
basically designed by the wants of the historical commission. And then he came on and said, this is what we're going to do. And I did a little bit of a nutty because the addition building was twice the size of the original building. And he said,
Oh, yes.
our building is subservient to the old building. I think
I think you can apply that subservient elsewhere.
and it's kind of funny because the pictures that I have of the actual house, I have several of the barn, believe it or not, a west house elevation, north house elevation, south house elevation, and south house elevation again. I don't have an east house elevation that I can see anyway.
And no outhouse.
No outhouse either. The
I have
east,
north
that
and
east side would be the barn, but the barn that's
Uh,
attached to the house.
Let's see. I have an east barn elevation picture.
I do too. And I have an east shed elevation.
Oh, you have a shed? I don't have a shed. I have a south barn. Oh, I have an east shed elevation.
So we've got the same set of pictures evidently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But
I'd
it's
like to
interesting. Now I see some are in the fall, some are in the winter, some are in the spring.
Right.
We have to
Well-
go by the ones that are recorded, however, so,
Yeah.
Pino, are you making any
Yeah,
headway?
I got it. I had to disable my pop-up blocker. One second.
And then I have an article from the Chronicle that says that the state auditor commends Criterion Child Enrichment on purchasing the property.
Don't upset me before I retire for the evening.
What? Yeah, I know it. Oh, my goodness.
Do you think that these photos might be in the archives at Town Hall?
These are the pictures.
I was just looking through my whole file on Criterion and I didn't find any, but I'm thinking they might be in Town Hall.
Well,
Virginia,
how recent do they need to be? And
Well-
if their submission is based on our agreement with them based on these pictures, and you see what it is now, I mean, isn't that proof enough?
Pino, the ones you're showing are not the same that I have.
Okay. Again, these are May 2017. So, I mean, even if they're black and white, we'll ask the historical commission if anyone has these with color pictures. I'm hoping someone has the package intact somewhere. I mean, they might be in our archives for the historical commission. No?
oh, Virginia's
I think
laughing.
we'll probably know.
She's smiling, which is
Yeah.
even
I know.
worse.
Right, but anyway, we have, I think you can, I mean, I think we'll find the pictures eventually, but at least we have these. And I think if they're, you could see somewhat something. All right, but does anyone, does that sound like a good path forward for now? Is we're gonna try to
Yeah.
Julie's gonna try to get some answers on specifically the preservation restriction agreement and any Dover questions, and then we'll have some sort of analysis with them, and then we can use that as a launching pad to the letter. And that would basically be the final letter, and then at some point a decision will be made. Are we just going to not do anything or elevate it?
Mhm.
That's the only thing I can think of at this point, so.
Okay,
How about we set a date for a meeting to talk about all of that instead of waiting for a new application?
Sure, well, I actually think we should have like, what do people think on the joint meeting again? I mean, I think we had one about a year or two ago with the historical commission. Do we want to do that or no? Because right now we're kind of like, we're talking about it in both meetings. Should we have a joint meeting specifically for this again? After, okay, but I think we should wait till maybe after we get the answers.
Right.
Okay,
Because we don't have to set a meeting. We don't have any applications or anything, I don't think. So let's wait till we get these answers and then we'll set the date. I think we have a historical commission date, so maybe if we get the answers in time, we can add this onto there, unless they have a million things on their agenda, but.
yeah.
Okay, so let's do that.
Mhm.
All right. So I think that's all we had on the agenda. Do we want to do minutes? Oh, minutes and then new business? Does anyone have anything else on 186?
I don't think I do. I just have this huge folder, but that's good. We need it all.
All right, so let's move on to new business and then we can do the minutes. Again, I haven't seen any new applications come in. We've seen some questions come in about future work, but I think there was some overlap with if that was historical commission or us. So again, no active applications right now that I'm aware of. Virginia?
I'd like to propose that we discuss, not tonight, but at one of our upcoming meetings, the treatment regarding new technology that I sent out, and the type of intrusions into historic properties. I've noticed at least 2 houses here in town that have already got the mini, what are they?
Mini air splits,
Yeah, mini splits.
mini pumps, heat pumps.
Yep.
What's that?
And,
What do those look like?
oh, there's one up on Salem Street.
There's 2
Near
on my
you.
house.
Yeah.
Are
They have a condenser outside, which looks like a regular condenser for air conditioning,
Uh-huh.
for central air. But they have this pipe that's probably about 4 inches by 2 inches that comes up the wall and usually goes up the
Oh,
side of the
sure, yeah,
building.
like the split level things?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think it's important we address them before they start coming into the district. So,
I think it's also important to discuss the fact of how our bylaw, which was written concerning energy consumption or conservation.
conservation.
And this is a product that's come out since then. Does it fall under the guidelines still because it's still conserving?
Well, that's what we need to discuss and try to wrap around it before it's an invasion into the historic districts.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely talk about that at one of our upcoming meetings.
Actually, we've actually done one, Ginny, on Summer Ave, the Tudor house, 2 down from the UUC there. Bob Corwin's property.
Mhm.
A unit was put in there. We talked about it at some particular point, and he moved the condenser so it's on a back porch where you
Mhm.
cannot see any of the unit at all.
Right.
It's for an upstairs back of the building. So we actually have had them in.
I wasn't aware of the impact on the exteriors of the buildings. So the pipes are on the outside and you can see them. So we'll discuss it when we have a few minutes.
Okay, that sounds good. Anything else for new business? All right, Julie, did you have the minutes from the last meeting? Do you mind pulling them up again, please?
No problem. And I think I forgot to email them around, so I apologize for that. Let me see.
Well, perhaps you can email them out and we can read them at our leisure and do it the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. We don't have a backlog of minutes, so that's fine.
Would you prefer to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'll email you guys tonight as well.
Thank you. Thank
Sure.
you, Julie.
Oh, I had one question. So what do people like the earlier start time? Or would you like to keep it? I mean, I could go as early as 6. I know people have to come home from work and stuff. So just something to, what do people think about start times for these meetings?
With Zoom, an earlier start time is probably doable, but
Right.
once we get to meeting in place, 7 o'clock would be preferable for me.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think
That sounds good.
That sounds fine.
Mhm.
7 o'clock.
Concerning about the health of you people, you have to eat earlier. You can't eat at 9 o'clock at night. Okay.
Carl, go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Everett.
Okay, 7
You're
o'clock
welcome.
works for me.
7 o'clock is
Okay.
better than 6:30?
Yep.
Okay.
Julie, do you know if the January minutes got done? Amanda was having trouble finding the recording or something.
I don't actually know the answer to that, Amelia.
Okay, I'll ask her again. No problem.
Okay. It's the January ones and then fast forward to April and then tonight, right? Or is it just those
Yes.
3? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we'll try to tackle all those next month. All right, I guess motion to adjourn, anyone?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn.
Moves to adjourn. Everett seconds. Vote. Greg? Yes. Amelia? Yes. Eileen? Yes. Everett?
Yes.
Yes. Pino? Yes. All right, 5-0. Finished before 8. Look at that. All
Julie,
right,
could
have a
you
great night,
talk to
everyone.
you for just a minute?
Who do you want to stay?
I want to talk to Julie for just a minute. You
All
guys can listen if you want. I don't care.
It's probably best not to have a quorum if you're not if you've adjourned.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, nice to see everybody.
Thanks for staying on, Julie.
No
Just very quickly, I have a diagram and a proposed, let's call it message board or information center from the Antiquarian Society, after you so kindly stopped them in the tracks from the other thing. Is there some way I can get that to you in the next day? Monday, maybe? Or Tuesday?
Sorry, I am totally lost about what you're saying.
We have a message board, that's going to go down. We're wishing to put it down on the Parker Tavern property.
Oh, right, that. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was just my mind is in a million places.
Well, the young lady who gave it to you before just kind of headed up the committee and said, let's do what I want.
Yeah.
And so if I could drop that off to you sometime, or you could tell me what the procedures are to do with that.
So you're talking about like a proposal. You didn't actually get it like fabricated yet? Is that?
Oh, no, it's I'm going to build.
You're gonna build it.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can either email it to me or you can bring it by. I should be back in the office on Monday. I was
Okay.
home this week with my child because there was a COVID case in her classroom.
No, I just got it approved tonight by the board.
Okay.
and everybody seemed to be positive. They're very cosmopolitan or something. They don't like to take votes, but everybody agreed that it was okay. So,
That's interesting. Okay.
and it's
Yeah,
quite
you can-
unique. And so I'd like to have you see it. And I've got a plot plan of where it's going to be located on the lot and everything to go with it. Okay?
Perfect.
I'll be
yeah,
in
so-
touch Monday.
Yeah, I'm usually in on Mondays from like, well, if I'm being honest, it's more like 8:30 that I get there. But like 8:30 to 2:30 usually.
Okay, that's fine. And thank you.
there.
You're very gracious. Thank you.
No problem. Have a great night. I'm gonna send you guys all an email with the minutes in a minute. So
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Have a
to
nice
see
weekend.
you too.